When you see my video for May's food haul at the end of this month, you'll see that I have tons and tons of broccoli. If you've watched previous videos, you know I love my broccoli. Air fried broccoli is one of my favourite things to make, but I've got so much broccoli, I'm trying to find other things to do with it. So today we're going to have a go at making a green lasagna. So instead of a tomato-based lasagna, with all that kind of thing inside it, we are going to go for a broccoli lasagna. We're also going to throw some kale in there too, because I've got that. Now, going with the green theme, we've got some pesto. So let's see how we get on. I'm Samantha, this is the channel Trying to Get By, and we're getting by with lots of broccoli. So we've got these 2 packs of broccoli. This is not the only broccoli I've got. I have more. But we're going to start with these 2 packs of broccoli. We've also got some kale. Now, the kale's been in the freezer because I want the kale to break down a bit, and I find kale when it's been in the freezer loses some of its toughness. And what I generally do with my kale when it's been in the freezer is just give it a good bash, and it breaks it up a lot easier than having to chop it all. Plus you'll find all of those big chunky bits that you don't want, such as that bit there, which is a big chunky bit. But this is what I do, and if you're making kale salad, they do talk about putting a bit of oil on it and massaging it. So this is my quick version of doing that. There we go, that'll do for now. The other way you can do it is you can kind of just give it a scrunch as well. And like I say, it just breaks down the broccoli into smaller pieces a little bit and just makes it a little bit easier to deal with. So that's that, sorry, the cake, yeah, that's broken down. I've also got an onion, I've got my lasagna sheets, and I have got my pesto that I've made and have been using, and this is just the remnants of it, so we're going to throw that in. This pesto is made with wild garlic. I will put a link either in the description box or at the end of the video on my wild garlic recipe. Made it a couple of years ago for a video, but it's really, really easy to do. It's really tasty. So we're going to saute an onion, we're going to break down the broccoli, and we're going to get going. While the onion's sauteing in the pan, which I've just done down to a rough dice, I'm going to focus on the broccoli. Now, the main thing we're going to do is chop off these broccoli florets at the top, because I want those into nice small pieces. So I just want them to break down quite small. So little nubs similar to maybe a thumb size of those. And don't worry, the rest of the stalks will be getting used. So in terms of the stalks, I will just take off that little end that just gets a bit dried out. And then I'm just going to chop them really quite finely. So as thin as you can get. And then turn it round and go the other way, just to create the smallest pieces possible so that they break down really, really well. So that's the broccoli, what I'm going to be doing with that. And then as soon as the onions have started to go a bit more translucent, I will pop the broccoli in there, and we'll pop the kale in too. All I'm going to do with the kale is I've just spread it out, and I'm just going to get these big chunky stems out that we don't really want to eat. You can pop those in your stock bag in the freezer if you want to. They'll add, as long as you've not got too much cabbagey, type stuff in there, it'll still taste pretty good. So finding all these pieces, because you just don't want to be chewing on the hard crunchy bits in there. But you can see that the kale's broken down quite a lot. If your kale's still got some quite big pieces, once you've done a sort through, just go in with your knife and give everything a little bit of an extra chop if needed. I'm just going to finish hunting through here for those other pieces, because there's always more than you think. And then we're going to throw the kale in with the broccoli that's already going, and is just sauteing off nicely. Everything's in the pan, although that bit is trying to escape. And because my kale is frozen, that's why we're giving off quite a bit of steam, but this will cook down quite well. Just keep an eye on it and give it a move every now and again so nothing catches on the bottom. If you're finding that it's sauteing and not cooking down as much, you can put a little bit of water in there. I'm not going to bother at the moment, like I say, because I've got all the steam from the kale to do that. So I'm just going to keep an eye and give that a mix. In the meantime, we're going to make my cheese sauce. So it's bechamel-ish. Traditional bechamel will come with a roux and then the milk. I'm cheating. I'm going straight in with the milk. This is my soy milk. We're putting bechamel throughout all the layers, so I'm going in with quite a bit of that. And the way that I am cheating is I'm using corn flour. So I'm just going to make a corn flour slurry with a bit of corn flour in a small container with some cold water, or you could do it with the cold milk. And then we're just going to whisk it in. I'm just going to get my milk started off. We're also going to be adding some nutritional yeast to this in lieu of cheese. So this is what I love. And this is a powder as well. I've got another box in there somewhere. And this will thicken up the sauce as well. We're going to save our cheese for the top. We've got some vegan cheese, so it won't melt the same as normal cheese, but it is what we're using at the moment. While the milk's just coming up to temperature, I have just put a little bit of water in with my pesto because it had gone quite thick. And we're just going to pour that in. And I'm going to give it another good rinse to get out all those last little pieces. There we go, last bit of that. So the pesto here is to give it a really nice flavour. I'm going to turn the heat down and just simmer all our flavours in there. One of the reasons why I've not added garlic to the mix is because I'm using wild garlic pesto. So it's already got a good garlicky flavour to start with. I am going to put in some basil. There's not basil in my pesto, which is traditional. Like I say, it was a wild garlic pesto. So I'm going to put some chopped basil in just before we're about to assemble. So I'm just going to leave that to do its thing for a little while we focus back on the sauce. So our milk is getting a bit warmer. I've made my slurry. Remember, cold water with your corn flour, otherwise it just doesn't work at all. Give that a good whisk in. And all I'm going to do now is just keep an eye on this. Whisk it every minute or so to make sure it doesn't clog up. And we'll come back when that's thickened. The sauce has thickened now. It's not really, really thick. It's like a custard thickness. I'm going to add some salt and pepper to it now because that affects how much nutritional yeast I'll end up popping in. There we go, I like a good bit of pepper. If you want to keep it neutral looking, just put white pepper in instead. And just a pinch of salt. There we go. And we're going to start whisking in our nutritional yeast. We've got the leftovers of that, so that's about a tablespoon. And we'll put in probably 1, 2, 3. So about 4 tablespoons to start with. And then get that mixed in, see how it goes, check it for flavour, and decide if we want to add any more. Okay, that's all mixed in. I'm going to do a taste test, see how we're doing. Remember, it'll be boiling hot. That's cheesy enough for me, so that's good. And so now it's time to assemble. Last thing I'm going to do before we assemble is I've just got some basil that I chopped up that we're going to pop in there and just give a little mix to. That'll just heighten the flavours. Right, starting off, we're going to put some of this sauce in the bottom just to create a base layer and also stops everything from sticking. A little bit more. There we go. I'll start with some lasagna sheets. Now, as usual, it just about, so I'm going to do a slight bit of overlapping. Don't worry if they break. It'll all work out in the end. And then we're going to start in with some of our lovely greens. Making sure we've got a decent layer spread all out. Hoping to get a good 3, maybe 4 layers out of this. It all depends on how thick you do your layers. Then again, with a little bit more sauce. This will spread round as it cooks in the oven. And more sheets. If I do break some, I do tend to go the opposite way for the next one. There we go, they're fitting slightly better now. And we're just going to carry on until we've used up all the ingredients and finishing off with a top cheesy layer. The last layer, I have put a little bit more lasagna sheets on and spread them out a little bit more. I'm just going to give it a bit of a press down to make sure everything's all in there, and I've got plenty of room at the top to put my last top layer of my bechamel, because I want to make sure that that is completely covered. Hopefully we have just about got enough. That's always my fear when I make lasagna, is do I have enough for that last creamy layer on top. There we go, just about. There we go. Now, if you were using dairy cheese, I'd pop it on now. Vegan cheese doesn't cook quite as well, so I'm not going to put that on until 10 minutes before the end of the cooking time. This is going to go in the oven for between 30 to 40 minutes, depending on the size of your tray, the depth of your tray, everything like that. And we'll taste this in a little while. I'm hungry. This looks so good. Okay, how is this looking? This is looking lovely. This has literally just come out of the oven. We are ready to dish up. Let's see. Oh, you've got to have a crispy edge on a lasagna. There we go. Dig right in there. Let's see. Oh, scoop underneath and lift, and look at that. Oh, steamy. There we go. Look, layers, loveliness, deliciousness, getting out a fork. Super duper. Okay. Oh, I'm going in for that soft squidgy edge there. And let's see how we taste. This is going to be steamy, steamy hot. Oh yeah, so good. Excellent. So it's the next day, because me and Chris got into watching a film last night, so I didn't do a conclusion to the video. So what did you think? Do you think it looked tasty? I'm telling you, it was super, super tasty. I'm so glad I found a way to use up all that extra broccoli, and the kale was not overpowering at all, because sometimes I think kale can be a bit of an intrusive flavour, but it worked really well. And that garlic pesto was brilliant. I can't wait for next pesto season. There's still a bit of it left over. I might actually go out and get some more. I'm going to have a look at that. So yeah, a good use it up recipe for lots of greens if you choose to use them in that way. Thanks for watching. If you're interested in more use it up videos, I will put some here or here. And if you want garlic recipes, I'll put that round here somewhere as well. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.